Hello, this is Benjamin. Welcome back. Tonight we're going to be editing a dark nebula, the NGC 1909 Witch Head Nebula, which you saw in a previous video. We did the stacking and removing a satellite trail out of. Tonight we're actually going to edit the rest of the picture. So we've got the drizzled image here. This is a 3x drizzle. The shot with a Rokinon 135mm lens, f2, shot at about f2.8, give or take, and a UV IR cut filter with a ASI294MC Pro camera. So it's 156 shots at 60 seconds and 112 shots at 36 seconds, equaling about 3.5 hours of data. So this is what we've got here. Let's just go ahead and give it a screen stretch. And it's very green. So we need to do a linear fit. For that, I use the toolbox script auto linear fit. And I use the channel reference as green. And I'm going to have to do a lot of pausing this video because this is a 105 megapixel picture. It takes a little bit of time to process, so you're going to see a bunch of fast forwarding. So hope that's okay. Alright. Now let's restretch the image. And you see we've got a gradient, but that's expected, especially without the especially without the narrowband filters. So let's go ahead and crop this down just a little bit, just to get rid of any stacking artifacts that might exist that's going to affect our later processing. So this was taken from my my relatively dark sky site that I travel to sometimes. So the light pollution wasn't as bad as near my house here in Maryland, so it could be a lot worse. But the first thing we're going to do now is run BlurXterminator in the correct only mode. Just get those stars fixed up, because they're actually not too bad on the edges, but you can see they are kind of elongated. So let's just go ahead and fix that. Now actually stopping down the lens, which is what I've started doing, actually helps this problem quite a bit. But you can see that these are cross-shaped stars. They are not circles as they should be. So alright, as you can see, BlurXterminator does a great job of fixing these optical aberrations. As does stopping down the lens makes a good big difference, like I said, which is what I'm doing now. Learning a little bit about this lens and its optical abilities and restraints. But BlurXterminator is good for this older data that is not perfect. And it never will be perfect. Perfect doesn't exist. But next thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this gradient. The gradient goes from red to green. And for that I use Automatic DBE by Steady Astro. So let's get this running. Alright, gradient removal complete. Let's go ahead and re-stretch it. Screen stretch it, and we should have a nice flat looking nice image. And that looks pretty good. You can see some of the red hydrogen alpha data in the background, and you see very clearly the Witch Head Nebula. So we're going to do a color correction now. So first thing we should do is solve the image with its coordinates. For that we use the image solver. Everything is set up properly because these were fit files off the 294 that carry all of the right ascension and declination information. So let's go ahead and run this and get a solution for it. Alright, we will now run, actually let's first create a preview, and we're going to do it right here because this looks like a very neutral area, not too much hydrogen alpha. Let's put it right here. Right there in the background. Be careful not to get any stars in the box. Now we're going to run I can never remember this one. Spectrophotometric color calibration. And we used an IR cut filter. And we want a region of interest from preview 1. Okay. And let's let that run. Alright. Let's go ahead and restretch it. And we close out our graphs, close out our tool, and zoom out, and you can see what we're working with here. Let's delete our preview, get it out of the way. Next thing we're going to do is run BlurXterminator in its full capacity. Sharpen down style, I'm going to put it 0.7, and sharpen stars, I'm going to put down a little bit to 0.4, and let that run. Now this was taken with, not taken, it was processed, stacked with a drizzle of 3 and a drop shrink of 0.8. So it should sharpen up real nice for us. Alright, now let's go ahead and do some noise reduction. I'm going to use GraXpert noise reduction on this since it was 3x drizzled. Deep SNR is probably not going to work well, and I'm just going to go straight to the GraXpert. Let's run this for the noise. Alright, if we zoom in, we can see very little noise, no orange peel. It is perfect. And I just want to point out what I saw in playing with this image while stacking. There is this really tiny little galaxy that makes me really happy. This one right here, with its 2 spiral arms, and it just looks amazing. It's small, but no color, but it's just gorgeous that it's actually there and picked up by this lens. Little spiral arms on it. So anyway, we are going to remove the stars now. So StarXterminator. And let's let this run. Alright, now we're done with the normal script that I use. Now we are going to have to figure things out for ourselves from here. No more following the script. It's played by ear. So let's minimize this. You can see all these little dots left on my image. They're actually not stars. They are all galaxies. You can see they're all extended objects. They all have little discs and arms, and where's our fun little happy galaxy? There, right there. Oops. Right there with its 2 spiral arms. There's a normal galaxy with a disc with no arms. This one, I can almost see a little bit of detail in that. I think I can see detail, but I know I can't. It's just a little bit of the grain, but these little galaxies make me happy. So, we will leave them. We're not going to clone them out or anything. We are leaving them. So, first thing we're going to do is turn off the stretch and go into generalized hyperbolic stretching. So let's zoom in on the graph, let's put our symmetry point, zoom out, and raise our local intensity to about 13 or 14 and do some stretching. And turn on the preview. There we go, there's a good first stretch. You can see some of the detail on the red coming out in the hydrogen alpha clouds in the background. Well, I assume it's background. Could be foreground for all I know. And we're going to accept that as our second stretch. We're going to try and bring a little bit more definition in the cloud. So let's bring up the brights a little bit more. Push down the darks a little bit with the local intensity. Play with the symmetry point, make sure it's where we want it. I think right about there looks good. Let's accept that. As tantalizing as that is, that's too much. So let's reset that and let's stretch this just a little bit more. Let's try to get something like in this area right here. That's pretty high up on the graph. This might not work out well. Let's just be real gentle. Real gentle. Nice gentle stretching. Right about there. Let's accept that. And let's close our GHS tool for the moment. So this is what we're dealing with. Now we've got this big obvious star here. The halo itself should, or the magenta halo should come out when I stretch my stars. If I stretch my stars enough, the green halo on the star image will cancel out the magenta halo on the stars list image. However, this reflection, internal reflection, is not going to go away, and to try and get rid of it, it's going to mess with these star spikes, which I don't like all that much, but it's going to just go to look horrible and obvious that I've done something. So we're just going to have to leave that there for this time, and I think stopping the lens down in the future is actually going to help or mitigate that. But this is what we've got to work with at the moment. So let's go ahead and open up all of our processing icons. We'll use some of those later. Let's open up our curves transformation, do some global adjustments. So neutral background is about there, and that's where it is on the graph. So let's bring that down some. And our brightest area is the brightest area that we want to affect is right here. So let's bring that up some. And let's see, what have we done? We've gone from there to there. That looks good. Let's accept that. Let's see where we are now. Our neutral area. Let's pick another neutral area, like right there. That's pretty neutral. We're down here now. Let's darken that a touch. And our bright, let's say our medium areas are right there. It's not a whole lot of. There we go. So let's be gentle with this. Let's not go too much. Let's go something around there. Let's close that out. That's some nice detail on that dust. I like that. You can really make out the wispy nature of the dust. Let me zoom in a little bit more for you. So, all right. Next, let's play with the reds. So let's pull a red mask. We're going to leave them red. We're not going to try and play with the colors here because this was, like I said, this was a broadband. So these red clouds, they're going to stay red. They're hydrogen alpha most likely. Almost certainly hydrogen alpha clouds. And hydrogen alpha is typically red unless we map it to green, which we do sometimes in the SHO palette. All right, let's see what we're dealing with here. All right. So it looks like we've got a pretty good mask. Let's blur that. Let's bring out the mask a little bit more, make it a little bit more prominent. Do that with the histogram transformation, and we will darken our darks, and we'll bring up our brights. Just make it more strongly affecting, so we don't have to push so hard with the tool. Let's go with that. Now let's blur it. Let's blur it again. And let's go ahead and apply the mask. Let's go into curve transformation, pull up our preview, and let's see if we can bring out these clouds a little bit more. We want to raise the, and we want to darken a little bit. Let's see, are we on track here? What have we done? Yeah, we've definitely increased the contrast in those clouds. That looks nice. So let's apply that, and we will, let's see, saturate a little bit. Yep. Let us do that. Close that out, and we will mask, remove mask. And I don't think I'm gonna need our red mask anymore, so let's just go ahead and delete it. Alright. I want to take some of this teal out of this halo. I'm going to try it and see if it works. So we're going to use the Fame mask from SETI Astro. And we are going to zoom in so I can find it. Zoom out so I can find it. And let's go ahead and do a freehand lasso tool. Okay. Let's blur that a little bit because we don't want to blur out the shape entirely. So let's try a 60 blur. It's not liking something. There we are. Right? It's thinking. Still thinking. All right. Something has gone wrong. So let's go ahead and close this out and try it again. Sorry about that. SETI Astro, Fame. Freehand, let's select our mask again. And blur amount 60 again. And execute. That time we had no problems. Alright. Let's apply our mask. And the reason we're using a mask, we don't want to take any of the blues out of the clouds, because that's the way it the Witch Head Nebula, because that's the way it should be. So curve transformation, and let's just use our saturation and let's just desaturate that. Maybe leave it a little bit blue. Let's take a quick better look at that and zoom in on that. See what we're doing. Let's leave a little bit of color so it doesn't look like it's just washed. Let's see if we can't make it a little magenta. Maybe hide it in with the hydrogen alpha clouds a little bit. Let's just do that. That takes it from there to there. It's going to be there, and it's going to be obvious, and it's going to be annoying, but we're going to just go with it because it's what was there. And like I said, trying to fix it is just going to mess up the star spikes, and it's just going to look really weird then. So I don't think there's any graceful way to get rid of this. Close the mask. Alright. Let's see what this looks like with the stars, which we have to stretch first. So this is the auto stretch. So we'll turn off the auto stretch and stretch this with the histogram transformation tool. And we will stretch not quite that much. Let's do that for our first stretch. That for our second stretch. Reset the tool. We want some stars in this image, so we want the stars fairly strong, I think. So let's put them right there and see what that does. I'm going to leave their colors the way they are. And for screening the stars back in, what I've started doing, what I've started doing is using the SETI Astro mask merge tool. So here is the integration, union add, and the stars image, and we execute, and it puts the stars back in. And that looks pretty nice, actually. Not that I expected otherwise, but I'm happy with it so far. Do a dynamic crop and do an artistic crop on this. There's a lot of dead space up in this area that I don't like. So let's do something along this line. You know me, I want a 2x3 crop. So let's say if this is the width we want. There's my calculator. We want a 10.0512 width. We like the width. Let's see what we have to do with the height. Times 3 divided by 2 is not correct. 10.512 times 2 divided by 3, 7008 for the height. 7008. That's our height. This is now a perfect 2x3 ratio, 4x6. Let's do something like this, right about in there. Keep all this detail in the cloud, in the hydrogen alpha clouds down here. It gets kind of washed out, or not washed out. It gets kind of empty up here. So let's do this and see what we think. That feels pretty nice. Let's go ahead and close the dynamic crop, and I think I want to rotate it so that the witch's head is at the bottom, because this is the hat. There's the nose, or the top of the hat, the nose, the chin, hat, top of the hat. So let's see what it looks like rotated. We'll use the fast rotation tool and vertically mirror it. And now we've got the hat, the nose, the chin, the lips, a little more face oriented. Also, the star is bright, so it should be more at the top than the bottom. This just gives it a little bit more balance, I think. But that's completely subjective. So I'm going to go back into the global edit of the curves transformation. If I can get my mouse to work. Curves transformation. And let's play with the contrast just a little bit more, make sure it's what we want. I don't know why I always say we. I hope you want it too, but this is what I want. Just yeah, make that really pop. And right there is okay. A little bit too much magenta in those red clouds. Let's see what we can do about that. Let's pull a magenta mask. I wanted a little bit more vivid red rather than this magenta color. So let's see what we can do with that. Might have to go back to the starless image, but I'm hoping not. Alright. So we've got a problem here. We've selected the magenta in this cloud, which we don't want to affect. So we're going to change the mask some. We are going to go to script, SETI Astro, Fame on the mask. So let's do a freehand shape and select everything but this mask. I mean everything but this cloud. So we select everything but the cloud, the Witch's Head cloud, and let's zoom that. I mean, so let's blur that a little bit. Let's go about 60, 70. I'm going to do a lightness mask so it doesn't just, it's not binary. Binary is black or white. We want, we don't want that. So let's go ahead and execute that. And I think that's what I want. This should take a second because it's making a huge mask. And let's check it out. Yeah, you can see we all right, let's accept that, close that. You can see we have the same mask, just blurred out a little bit, but it's missing the mask for the Witch's Head Nebula cloud. So let's minimize the magenta mask. We don't really need it anymore. Let's apply the Fame. Uh-oh, out of room to apply a mask. Let me I don't know what. The title is too long. Add that right there. Let's go back into the the curve transformation. And green. Green and magenta are opposites, so let's add in green. And let's go to our red. Pump up the reds. Yes. Let's saturation. Yes. That's exactly what I wanted. Magenta, red. The only thing we're affecting that I don't want to affect, and I think it's okay, I didn't plan on it, is this star halo. I guess it was still a little magenta in between the blue. But that looks fine. So let's accept that. Close that down. Close that down. Let's keep this mask around because it might come in handy if we're not done. And we will remove the mask. We can see our image. Let's see what I think. I think that looks pretty nice, actually. I'm going to keep it here, and I'm going to go with this. So let me make it a little bit bigger so you can see it, and I'll also post it at the end of the video. But that is the Witch's Head Nebula NGC 1909 in broadband. So, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.